Ex's family forced a prenup and now he's broke and gets nothing from me in the divorce. I, 31 female, married my soon-to-be ex-husband, male 33, in 2018. My in-laws never liked me and made it clear. Soon-to-be ex insisted that they're just putting up a tough exterior and they'll grow to love me. To show how evil they are, one time I joined them for dinner and brought a cake I'd made because I was always raised to be a gracious guest. When I stepped into the kitchen and offered the cake to his mother as a thank you for inviting me, she took the plate over to the garbage bin, dumped it in, and handed me the plate back. When I told my husband what she did, he confronted her, and all of a sudden, the crocodile tears started. And she claimed she grabbed the plate but didn't get a good grip. I let go too quickly, and it fell on the floor. So of course, it had to be thrown away. My sister-in-law confirmed that was what happened. My soon-to-be ex owned his own business, and they called me a gold digger behind his back. Of course, they insisted on a prenup, which I didn't care about because I never thought my marriage would end, and it would appease them and may allow them to finally treat me kindly. Nope, his business failed once COVID hit. We went through his savings and my own trying to keep it afloat. I refused to go into debt to keep it going, so he closed it down. In 2022, he was suffering from really bad depression because he lost his business and couldn't find new work. He suggested we move to his hometown closer to his family so he had a larger support network. Against my best judgment, we did. He wanted to only work part-time while he tried to restart his business. So I became the main breadwinner. And as with most wives, I became the person in charge of buying gifts. Stupid old me thought buying them thoughtful expensive gifts would finally make them see I wanted to be accepted by them. While all their gifts to us were a couple's gift, but clearly for my soon-to-be ex only. Every holiday was spent with them. Monthly dinners with the whole family. After a year, I realized that if I ever tried to talk or join a conversation, everyone would go quiet. So I just stopped talking when I visited. In early December, they finalized plans for Christmas. A few days later, my soon-to-be ex said his family decided they didn't want me to join them for Christmas Eve dinner and Christmas lunch because I ruined the family vibe. Christmas lunch because I ruined the family vibe. I replied, fine, we'll do our own thing instead. My soon-to-be ex sheepishly looked away and said he was still going to go. I was livid and so disappointed in him. That was the moment I knew my marriage was over. So I returned to the presents I had bought for his family. In their place, I got one pair of novelty business socks for father-in-law, a supermarket brand bottle of shampoo for mother-in-law, the nastiest perfume I could find at the dollar store for sister-in-law. The most expensive gift was a large rawhide bone for brother-in-law and his wife's chihuahua, too big for it to get its jaw around, rendering it useless. I saved about $600 to put on a deposit for a new apartment. My husband came home from Christmas lunch telling me I humiliated him and embarrassed him in front of his family. I asked him why would he think I'd buy nice gifts for people who clearly don't like me and don't want me around. Served him with divorce papers last week. Remember how he was supposed to be a millionaire by now? So we had that prenup? Soon-to-be ex is not eligible for any of my savings. It was required to keep separate accounts or alimony. He doesn't have money for rent and auto insurance. Not my problem anymore. Some of my friends and family are on my side and proud that I went out in a blaze of glory. Others are telling me I was being way too petty, which isn't really like me. So am I the a-hole? No. OP. You are not the a-hole. You put up with years of mistreatment, sacrificed financially and emotionally for him, and tried for longer than most people would have to earn a place in a family that never wanted you. The moment he chose to spend Christmas with them instead of standing by you, he showed you exactly where you stood. Your response wasn't petty. It was a well-earned exit with a touch of poetic justice. And what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments section. And now let's check out the community comments. I see Material 4387 says, not that he chose his family over you and still expected you to buy all the presents. This was perfectly planned and well-deserved for every one of them, including him. And Dopey responds, he only worked 12 hours a week at Walmart so he could do non-existent work restarting his business. I make just over 6 figures, and I can't believe I didn't realize years ago I was the family ATM. Lou1845 says, not the a-hole. So thoughtful of them to insist on a prenup. I hope you send them a sincere thank you note after the divorce is finalized, lol. And Dopey responds, my lawyer even laughed at the prenup that was set up for him is going to be what we use for me. It required both spouses to maintain separate bank accounts, and each spouse could keep 100% of their savings. No spouse eligible for alimony. Hindu Cook says, I would say be glad you did not have children with them. Be glad you can escape and be free with no strings. P.S. This relationship should be a learning lesson on the love that you want for yourself and the life you want, not as a loss. And OP responds, first thing I did after I moved into my new apartment was adopt an older cat from the shelter. He was allergic, and I couldn't even adopt one since we first started living together. We're just two old hags living our best lives after being rejected. And the cozy cake cutie says, not the a-hole. If you can't join in on the family vibe, might as well bring some sass and pettiness to the party. Plus, saving money for a new apartment is a solid move. Well, the community definitely agrees that is not the a-hole and that both the future eggs and the family deserve everything that's happening. It's all on them. So now let's move on to the update to see how this story ends. Many thanks to everyone for their support in my last post. I thought I'd send a small update. First, for those who asked how to deposit on my new apartment was only the $600 I saved on the gifts, it certainly wasn't. I had to dip into savings, but that $600 helped. My soon-to-be ex didn't bother reaching out to me after I left until he was served the divorce papers, and my lawyer made it clear we're exercising the prenup. Then it was loving voicemails and texts I never picked up from him and his family for a few days trying to convince me to come back, which eventually turned to threatening and cruel voicemails and texts when it was clear I wasn't budging. My lawyer suggested I don't block them so we have evidence of harassment if needed. Basically, give them the rope to hang themselves with. But then last night, I got call after call from my soon-to-be ex. Stupidly, I picked it up thinking there was some kind of emergency or something. I barely got hello out when he said, "The rent is a week late." I told him, "That's strange because I paid my landlord 6 days ago." He paused and sighed dramatically and replied, "No, the rent for here." I reminded him, I don't live there, and he shouldn't expect rent. Cue his parents both texting me that they're going to sue me to pay the remainder of the lease entirely. I'm not worried about having an eviction on my record since the apartment is in his parents' names. My lawyer is confident they have no leg to stand on. I haven't signed any type of lease, and utilities are in their name too because they were afraid of having too many names connected to the apartment and the landlord finding out. You see, when we first announced we were moving to his hometown, they rented an apartment for us right away so we could move right in. They've been renewing the lease each year. We had to pay his parents and then they write a check to the landlord who has no idea who soon-to-be ex and I are, let alone that we live there. Red flag, I know. But hey, that was their choice and their scheming. So they are on the hook for everything that doesn't get paid. F around and find out. I'm glad I had a few weeks to prep my leaving since they'd probably use the fact that it's their apartment to kick me out immediately. Divorce is probably going to be a bumpy ride with this man-child and his psycho parents. Any advice from anyone who's been through it is welcome. Thanks for all the support. Well, OP, I think you handled that really intelligently, and your lawyer sounds like they are on their game. I've never been in your situation, but the one thing I would do is keep any kind of communication through lawyers and written. Other than that, here's wishing you the best in the future. OP, thanks so much for sharing and take care. And now let's move on to the next post that also has an update. This post is from the subreddit Am I the A-hole, and it's by user School Appeal No. Am I the a-hole for not appealing to the school to get my daughter in a higher education program? So my daughter, 14, is in 8th grade and the whole school is by the public high school. There is a program that allows 8th grade to go experience the basics of chemistry, biology, math, and engineering classes. The kids would go over to the high school in the morning for a class and miss their elective of the day, so like art class or gym class. It's a pretty good program, but it is only for the top students in middle school, basically the best of the best. They also do it for students who are great at literature or arts, but my daughter falls into the science one. My oldest kids before her both did it, but my middle child didn't get in. So my daughter gets in a lot of trouble. Sometimes it's for small things for not having her stuff for class, but other times it's for more important things. Just this year, she picked the lock of the art classroom to get some coloring tools. I am talking to the principal at least once or twice a year, not to mention how many times she has come home with a pink slip. It's like a warning. She is the class clown and really bright. No punishment that I have tried made it stop. So today, we got the letters who will be getting into the program. It will start next week until she graduates. If you don't get in, the letter always tells you why. Usually, it's your grades. Well, we opened it today, and it basically said she had the grades to do it, but due to her disciplined record, they will not accept her into the program. She was very upset and asked me to try to appeal. There is a process for the school, but I told her no, that this is the consequence of her actions and that I have warned her they will catch up. She called me and asked, and my husband is also not happy about what I said. Am I the a-hole? No. OP, you're not the a-hole. You are absolutely right. It's not just about aptitude, it is about attitude as well. Also, her disrespecting you like that. If I would have been your husband, I would have shut that down right there. It seems that your daughter is very smart, but intelligence alone doesn't excuse repeated misbehavior. She had every opportunity to change her actions, and now she's facing a real-world consequence, one that you didn't create, but that her own choices led to. This isn't about punishing her. It's about her understanding that actions have lasting effects. I'd use this as a learning opportunity for her and try to guide her to ask herself the question, what can she do differently moving forward so that this doesn't happen again? And if she is into science and she's really smart, I'm sure she can find alternative ways to keep learning without having to be a part of this program. And what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments section. And now let's check out the community comment. Coconut Skitten says, not the a-hole. Why would they let in a child who has proven to be a distraction and hindrance to the learning of others? Maybe this will make her learn that actions have consequences. Pretend Panda says, if she wants into the program, she can write the appeal herself, and your husband can be the parent who commits to enforcing whatever she offers in terms of consequences for the behavior change. And OP responds, that's not a bad idea. She can do all the paperwork and prepare for the in-person appeal. Satsujin7 says, not the a-hole. It's just like you said, consequences to her actions. If you were to appeal and they let her in, it will only tell her that she can get whatever she wants. Also, tell her that the way she treats you is not acceptable and it made your decision to not appeal more strong. And your husband is the if he's just going to ignore your daughter's bad behavior and spoil her. And Shrekmerd says, not the I'm not sure how I managed to get 2 responsible children to adulthood without bad grades or detention or drugs or troublemaking, and turn them into lovely married humans that have good jobs and own their own homes and have nothing to post about me here because in Reddit land, I have been pissing off the perfect parents today. So I shall continue. This child is not mature enough for this academic program. It's quite clear. All these people dogging on the mom that she is affecting her education. No, she isn't. This is an advanced placement program. My children participated in my community as well. The poor behavior, bad attitude, and general lack of regard for boundaries that this child has shows her immaturity, and she should not be rewarded with an advanced placement program because while grades may be acceptable, she will not adapt well. It's hard. It's challenging. It's fast-paced and there are rules. Clearly, she has no interest in playing by the rules. If the father is so concerned and a parent needs to be there, let the troublemaker and the dad appeal it and get off mom's back. Also, if my 14-year-old called me an ass, she would have bigger things to worry about than if I was going to appeal for her to get special privileges even though she doesn't deserve them. Much bigger things. The majority of the community agrees that OP is not the a-hole, but apparently, there are some people that are against this and saying that OP is hindering her development. Also, I agree with everything that last commenter said. So now let's move on to the update to see how this story ends. It's been a while since the post and some asked for an update with the whole situation. So after the post, I took the suggestion of a few people and had her do the whole process to get an appeal from the school. So she did the paperwork and prepared to plead her case to the heads of the program. She did pretty well and wrote a pretty good essay on why she wanted to appeal and why she believes she should be in the program. She also did well when she was pleading her case to the heads of the program, which was a science teacher. She is a strict woman and I didn't expect much when it happened, and my daughter's appeal did not go through. The science teacher, when asked, broke down why she was not accepting the appeal. I wish she was nicer. She was a professional, just a tad blunt about it, but it boiled down to they do not trust her to not distract other students or trust her to behave during labs. She basically was a safety risk that the teacher did not wish to put up with, and it would be unfair to the other students. I agree with this. My daughter did not take it well when that happened and hurled some insults at the teacher, which proved her point. She was punished for that and was quite upset about missing the program. It really helped her to mature though. She stopped being the class clown, started to focus on stuff, and just behaved. I wasn't called in for the rest of the year. I was worried her attitude would change during the summer, but that didn't happen. So we sent her to a STEM camp during the summer. Since she was interested and she was good, the people gave her glowing reviews and she has a real talent for engineering. She is also happier in general and her missing the program helped her make friends outside of her friend group. She is still good friends with her friend group that went to the program. Now she will be starting high school soon and she is going to take some classes with her friends that went to the program. She is going into the chemical and engineering track, which she is really excited for. Thank you for everyone that responded on the post when it first came up. Everything really seems to be looking up. Well, OP, I think this is a fantastic update. Not only did she mature, but she also understood that one opportunity shutting down is not the end of the world, and it can actually turn even better in the long run. Thanks so much for sharing, OP, and take care. And now let's finish this video with a mood booster post. This post is from the subreddit Malicious Compliance and it's by user RottenT33. Bitchy about my appearance? I'll change it for you. This story features malicious compliance towards multiple people, particularly my parents, the boss of my old job, and my grandmother. I don't call myself goth necessarily. At the very least, if I did, it wouldn't be my own label. Suffice it to say, I like dressing like something undead and Victorian, much to the horror of my staunch religious parents and many other adults in my life. Last year, I finally moved out and got myself a job. Yet still, my family and even my boss at my job are incredibly rude and controlling of me, an adult's appearance. Once on my day off, I answered a video call from my parents in which they proceeded to berate me for the lack of color in my outfits. Really? No. How are you? Just straight to complaints. At this point, I've had enough. I'm an adult who can make my own decisions and I have a plan. I promise them, oh so sweetly, to add more color to my appearance if they stop effing complaining and they agree. After this call, I needed to pick up something from work. Wondrous. A rare opportunity to wear my usual clothes in the workplace instead of my uniform. Again, my boss tells me I only wear black and that I need color. Ironic coming from the man who repeatedly tells me I'm only allowed to wear neutral tones with my uniform. I tell him he doesn't need to worry because I'll be very colorful tomorrow. The next morning, I clock in to work with a giant grin and the brightest electric blue punk rock mullet they've ever seen. My boss is trying to smile, but it doesn't reach his eyes and his fists are clenching his pen. I thought you said I needed more color. I smile innocently. Later on call with my parents, they remind me that dyeing hair is unholy, tragic, truly. Whatever will grandmother do? I haven't spoken to either of them since I got a new job.